Okay, let's get some things clarified once and for all. India will get a trade deal with the US. No matter which side of the bed Donald Trump woke up today morning or any morning. But while too much attention has been focused on Trump's tariff tantrums, and rightly so, because the US of A is an economic powerhouse and every move it makes has repercussions on other countries' bottom line. The fact is that India has not exactly been sitting on its bottom and waiting for the Americans to relent. And no, I'm not referring to PM Modi's sudden overtures to China's Xi Jinping or taking that cuddly car ride with Vladimir Putin. What I'm talking about are the back room or the front room, in many cases, discussions that New Delhi has quietly been engaging in for the last few months, in some cases for years, for sewing up trade deals. They may not have gotten their share of airtime or newspaper inches, but that does not reduce their significance when it comes to India's strategic autonomy in this suddenly changed new world order. Of course, you would know by now that India has already signed two pretty big trade deals in the last couple of years. An ECTA or Economic Cooperation and Trade Agreement, that's with Australia, as well as a Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement or CEPA with the United Arab Emirates, that's the Persian Gulf state which has cities like the fabled Dubai, and close social, cultural and economic linkages with India dating back to the independence era. While for Australia, India's attraction stems from the massive domestic market it offers. For India, the country continent down under offers prospects for immense natural resources. While a free trade deal with the Arab Emirate could only solidify the people-to-people and business linkages that both nations have enjoyed for decades. But one or two is just not enough, especially for a nation with major global power aspirations. For the record, India is presently engaged in trade talks which are at various stages with at least a dozen countries. Of these, the one with the European Union or EU is perhaps the most significant. This is because while the European Common Market is not only developed and big enough as one of the world's preeminent trading bloc, for India strategically, the EU not only promises great future forward business development prospects with a region sharing similar progressive, liberal, democratic credentials. It is also the perfect antidote to any vagaries in policy from Washington, which, in case you've been sleeping under a rock for the last 5 months, has only been vague and flip-floppy to even the normally tenacious negotiators from India. In fact, while Modi's photo ops with China may have more to do with the slow dance of diplomacy and pressure tactics that India and US have been throwing at each other since the trade talks stalled back in August, the deal with the Europeans is considered not just as an ace up one's sleeve, but as a plus that will help both regions benefit. Of course, the Europeans are a bit anal when it comes to environmentally sustainable business practices. What with a contentious carbon tax set to rankle not just Indians once it comes into effect from next year, but face it, net zero is a bullet we have to bite, the sooner better than later. And talking of the Europeans being the next best thing, a preview will be on offer next month. That's when India's latest trade treaty comes into effect, the four-nation European bloc called EFTA or the European Free Trade Association, comprising of 4 nations which are not part of the EU, that is Liechtenstein, Luxembourg, Iceland and Norway. And meanwhile, discussions are proceeding with a clutch of nations, with deals likely soon with Oman, with Sri Lanka and Korea following soon afterward. Note that India already has an agreement with Seoul, but is now looking at upgrading it. The other countries India has trade talks with include New Zealand, Chile, Peru, and yes, of course, our friend Dolan's America.